he said no, somebody said yes. I'm hoping the other voice was not a female voice. Okay, so let me get this. You're in a relationship where these guys send you an automated mail on New Year's. That is the scope of their relationship with you. And you are prepared to give up 10 lakh rupees for the benefit of supporting them. What does it give you? Yeah, you haven't got a lot of satisfaction in the last 10 years, right? They haven't exactly been setting the flames on fire, have they? They haven't, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. So when we understand and actually, thanks Hemant, thanks for being there now. So when we try and even begin to understand marketing, begin to understand that when you deal with entertainment and sport, such things happen. People are prepared to give up serious, huge amounts of money of this thing for a brand or something that they really feel for. And people who manage to create that or create something that stands for those values attract those brands, attract people who come to them. And this does not happen with just marketing dollar and money and great business plans. It happens by saying, I believe in a few things and I want to make a product that I really don't believe in. And we'll take that and we'll make that product. And if we make that product and if we are done true to it, people will also understand that and believe that. Let me tell you a little story of our lives. We started off, and it's very funny, I'm doing a documentary on KKR in the first 5 years. And when we started off, we had what would be comparatively known in Indian circles as a perfect arranged marriage. This Shah Rukh, biggest superstar in India. Calcutta, crazy sports country. Saurabh Ganguly, biggest icon in Calcutta. I mean, he's Satyajit Ray and Amartya Sen and everyone else put together for Bengalis. And dude, Chris Gale, Brendan McCullum, Shoaib Akhtar, what else do you want? John Buchanan, a guy who's won 2 World Cups. What more could you want? And we went and we got it horribly wrong. And we got it terribly wrong. And what did we get wrong? Did we get wrong the fact that we were losing? That's not really that important. We got it terribly wrong the way we did things. We did it for the wrong reasons. We did it because the crowds would be happy. We did it because we wanted to keep players happy. And it didn't work. And the crowds went away and everyone went away. And we were the laughing stock of the IPL. People would look at us and turn around at us and say, what? I mean, Calcutta is the longest standing joke in the IPL. So one fine morning in 2011, we reached a stage, and you need to reach that stage, where all of us were desperate enough, and I'm a KKR, that we are lifer in that sense, say, what can we do? And for once, Shah Rukh and everyone was prepared to step back and say, okay, do whatever you have to now. In 3 years we can't win, do the hell what you have. And we got a new CEO coming. And we sat and we said, okay, who is KKR? What is KKR? And we sat back and we said, okay, this is what KKR stands for. Is KKR the fans? Hey, no. Because if KKR was just the fans, then we do whatever they say, whether it was right or wrong. So it's not just the fans. Is it the players? Players change every year. It's not the players. Is it the captain? Hey, these are all important, but it's not the captain. Is it the owners? Are you playing a team just for the owners? No, you're not. Then what is KKR? Then KKR, if you look at it, is the fans, the owners, the people, the players who play for it, the staff who work for it, and a bit more. KKR has to stand for a concept and has to stand for something people believe in. And how do you get people to believe in the dream of what you believe in? There's only one way you can do it. It's not just by winning. It's by saying that, darn it, I will stand true to the values that I will do what makes KKR succeed. Not what makes Shah Rukh happy, or the captain happy, or the fans happy, or the players happy, or any of these separate components happy. I will do what is true to the brand, what works for that darn brand. And in those days, when we sat back and did that exercise, we came to this really hard, very, very horrible conclusion that Saurabh Ganguly was not the way ahead. So in 2011, I'm sitting on an auction table, and we do not bid for Saurabh Ganguly. And I remember that moment because in about 3 minutes, I had 500 SMSs, most of which is language you wouldn't hear outside a drinking joint in Sakshi. Okay, and they were about how dare you forget Shah Rukh, you being a Bengali did not keep Saurabh Ganguly. And that city hated us. It hated us till they saw Jacques Kallis diving on the ground, a 37-year-old man who has nothing to do with Calcutta, diving on the ground trying to save a boundary. And saw Gautam saying, okay, I will spill blood, but I will not give up here. And we lost games. And it started moving back. And then finally, the hate was there, everything was there, but finally it came to a point where we said, these guys are not playing for themselves, they're playing for a team. And Shahrukh is not playing anything, he's leaving it alone. And they're allowing these people to at least try and make a fight of it. Calcutta will be beaten, but it will not go down with its head bowed. And we will try. And from there, that's where the journey started off, from this wonderful team that had all these superstars and all these big guys who do nothing because it wasn't the brand we believed in. To a team who said, I remember before we walked into the 2013-12 finals, we had a video where we recorded, we made sure that every player and every staff, we went to their families and recorded a video to say thank you to the players. And said no matter what happened in the finals, thank you. And came from their wives, their sisters, their girlfriends, from all over the globe, from Sunil Narayan's father sitting in Trinidad to Brendan's wife who's back in New Zealand at Christchurch. And because we knew that that was what the brand did. The brand was about following the players and giving them their best, whether you win or you lose. And we won. And maybe it did matter that you win because it makes the story sound even better. The story wouldn't have been so nice if you hadn't won. But that taught me the single biggest lesson of what a brand is. A brand and all the marketing of a brand is not, doesn't mean for a thing if you don't first build the values that make the brand what it is. Thank you. Thank you.
IPL has always been a thing very close to my heart, more so KKR. Thank you, sir, for those words. I'll now like to call upon stage Mr. Rudru Datta for his part. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank XLRI, Professor Varshni, the team of MAXI MIndscapes to have me here. I joined the band of Merry Bengalis, who come here to speak today. I've been told that I'm to entertain you for around 20 to 25 minutes, so that the program goes on for a suitable duration of time, and we can have discussions after that. So I'm going to try and do that. So the easiest thing in the movie business is that you just show movies, so you can pass time easily. So I'm going to try and do that and leave you with a few points to ponder, as I call them. That's the. That's technology, of course, which always adds something extra. Okay, so I will go on to one of the biggest cliches of the movie business, which is, as they say, इसमें action है, emotion है, drama है. So that's what we are going to try to do. So in the next 20 to 25 minutes, what I'll try and give you is a working idea of how the motion pictures business works in India. So while most of us are exposed to films as the entertainment medium, but there is of course a bit of history and science behind it, which I'll try and take you through. And hopefully by the end of it, you will get into the filmy mode and we can start talking about the high language as we typically know it. So one of the questions that one of the students asked me while I was there is that what brings me to the motion pictures business, after spending a lot of time in multiple other businesses. So this has always been since more than 10 years has been something in my mind that what are the things that actually influence social change in India? So while, I mean, we all will get into brands which will influence people's lives, we'll get into probably creating advertising around it. But the biggest influencers on how we think and what we're passionate about, okay, is probably is one of the most influential things is religion. And this is I'm talking about Indians across stratas. So that's a passion, that's a moment of discussion which will always happen. You'll always have an opinion on it. The second thing, of course, is going to be politics, which again, who's going to be the prime minister? Is going something going to happen to us, not happen to us? There's always a point of discussion. The third is, of course, is movies. And mind you, movies is not only a point of discussion, but it also influences the way we think and what we do. So be it what we wear, which is the fashion and stuff, which is influenced by cinema, it is also kind of the way we think. So if a Shah Rukh Khan says that मैं लड़की को भगा के नहीं लेके जाऊंगा, उसको जीत के लेके जाऊंगा, it again influences a certain kind of change in the thought process that we have. So that bit of an influence is what movies cause. Stars are of course gods, and with these two pictures, I don't need to say more. So, and as Indians, we've always wanted to be entertained, and unlike in the West, entertainment for us is more, I want to sit and watch, I want to watch you dance. So you dance, you perform, you play. One of the reasons why we love football, especially in India, is because most of us don't really play the game, but we love watching it. So similarly to that, in movies, we just love that we want to sit back and watch you guys, sing, dance, hit, shed blood, all of it. So we want to be entertained. Malls and multiplexes, being in the malls in most of the cases are the new mandir and masjid. The other important thing is music in India is primarily Bollywood. So there isn't too many other forms of music, unlike in the West, where there is independent music, there is pop, there's all of it. But in India, it is what Bollywood is what music is. A few other points is, of course, cinema is a beautiful combination which brings in all the elements together, be it art, literature, science. In India, again, cinema evokes emotion. Unlike in the West, where it's more about the portrayal of characters and the emotion that the character goes through. For us, it's primarily an emotion that we want to feel. It is also a bit of an escapism which comes to it. We often want to see, more than our regular lives, okay, in the cinema that we watch. Also, very importantly, again, it influences society as cinemas reflect society. So one of the best examples of that would be the Ramde Basanti Candle March, which went on to become the Jessica Candle March, which again went on to become the No One Killed Jessica film. So it's a constant moving between cinema influencing society and society influencing cinema. So it's a great symbiotic relationship which keeps happening. One of those relationships are also moments like this. I'll take you through a little brief journey of how cinema has evolved. Okay, and this is a very interesting, at least for me as a study, because it's always also reflected India in the various eras, and cinema has been the perfect mirror for that over the years. So in the 1950s and 60s, when India just got independent, it was all about pathos. It was about poverty. It was about trying to survive, and maybe somewhere, still feel that there is still hope. Maybe we can do something. So most of the cinema that we saw reflected that emotion.
ये है हमारा फुटपाथ रेस्टोरेंट। फर्नीचर इसका ऐसा वैसे ही। सर, आप बैठिए। नमस्ते नमस्ते काका। तो स्पेशल चाय, डबल दूध, डबल शक्कर, फटाफट निकालो। अरे पहले के पैसे तो निकाल। अरे काका, मौका देखकर बात क्या करो, जाते वक्त किरानी अलापने लगते हो। पैसे तुम्हें पकड़ के नहीं जाएंगे। ये तो देखो मेरे साथ कौन आया। मुझे क्या करना तेरे साथ कौन आया। पहले टेबल का रास्ता है तुझे। काका, तुम इन बातों को नहीं समझोगे। काका, आ जाए मिला दे। इज्जत रखे मेरी काका, इज्जत रखे चाय मिला दे। पर आज के पैसे ना दूंगा। हमारे काका की चाय आप पिएंगे, सब उल्लू की चाय पी जाएंगे। वो अच्छी चाय बनाते हैं। छुट्टे दवाने जी, छुट्टे दवाने, छुट्टे दवाने। बात यह कि मेरे पास 100 रुपए का नोट है और हमारे काका के पास 100 रुपए का कभी छुट्टा ही नहीं होता। क्यों काका?
So there was more of that. It was always reflecting society in that era, which of course then moved on to what we call as the 70s and 80s, and it's been a big influence on the Indian mind space, where Amitabh Bachchan of course came in with the whole angry young man. Now this was the time when even society, and somewhere even films influenced that, was trying to break free. It was about revolt. It was about system was bad. We need to fight back. The guy on the street is not getting an opportunity to grow like the people in the West are, and we want to like fight back. So that was the emotion which completely dominated and reflected. And the famous scene as you know.
सब तरफ देखा साला मेरा ही नहीं। मेरा तो आइडिया है वो भाग गया, अब नहीं आने वाला। आएगा नहीं तो जाएगा कहाँ? आज नहीं कल तो हाथ आएगा अपने, उसे जिंदा नहीं छोड़ने का। पीटर, अच्छा हुआ तुम खुद यहाँ चला आया। हाँ, तुम्हें ही ढूंढता था। तुम लोग मुझे ढूंढ रहे हो और मैं तुम्हारा यहाँ इंतजार कर रहा हूँ। ये बात है।
So of course that those scenes are ever memorable and always represented that revolution. Then came in what we call as the confused 80s, okay, which at that era there was I mean it was almost like filmmakers didn't know what to do, and probably that was again the kind of mindset that India was going through, where we were in a mix of that should we be revolting, should we be sad about what our past was, still live in that post-independence kind of era, or should we go ahead and do something else? So most films are about the guy fighting with a girl's father to win the girl. So that most of the stories are absolutely there, and there was mindless action, some really crazy songs. I don't know whether this thing works. Let me just try. This absolutely represents what. I can't hear the song on the screen, but it's about. Yeah, I wish I could have shown you the visuals. They're even more funny. It is Ajay Devgan actually dressing up as a baby, and Raveena Tandon dressing as a nurse, and them playing around and singing "O Mere Budde Raja." So it was seriously confused times in the movie business. But thankfully, then came in the evolution of cinema to the 90s, and this was when India was going through this little resurgence where there was a second generation NRI who was there, and a sudden confidence back in the Indian values. And this is where cinema started reflecting that with Dilwale, with Dil Se, with Sarfarosh. Okay, movies like that which celebrated the Indian culture and in some sense a bit of opulence which had started creeping in. So the famous scene, as you all know, which represents that whole confidence that the Indian guy finally had found.
Please, Baji, मुझे जाने दीजिए। Baji, please, Baji. Baji, मुझे आज मेरी जिंदगी है। मैं उसके बगैर नहीं रह सकती, बाजी। बाजी, मुझे मेरे राज के पास जाने दीजिए, बाजी। बाजी, प्लीज, बाजी, मुझे मेरे राज के पास जाने दीजिए। बाजी, प्लीज, I beg of you. प्लीज, बाजी, मुझे मेरे राज के पास जाने दीजिए। प्लीज, बाजी। प्लीज, बाजी, मुझे मेरे राज के पास जाने दीजिए। प्लीज, बाजी, बाजी, प्लीज।
इस लड़के से ज्यादा प्यार तुझे और कोई नहीं कर सकता। जा बेटा जा, के पास जा, जा सिमरन, जा जी ले अपनी जिंदगी।
Which led us, of course, to the new millennium, and then comes in the change that we all primarily see in movies today, which is almost like a mishmash of everything. So there's all kinds of movies which have now started working. There's a lot of boldness which came in. Sex was no longer taboo to be depicted. The language started getting more, let's say, more matter of fact. In fact, a little more crass. Galis were cool. So this time where we are suddenly, even as filmmakers and studios, we are a little lost for it because there is no formula. I mean, there is nothing which tells us right now that if you do this plus this plus this, the films will work. You don't really know what will work, what will not work. It's new concepts every day. So you have movies like Kahani, which everybody would say that is a pregnant woman in Calcutta. I mean, how does a film like that work? Okay, a Gangs of Wasseypur, which is full of galis and set in Bihar in the 50s. So, I mean, these kind of films were traditionally something which should have never worked and which had started working, and now the trend going forward is even more better because every kind of concept seems to be finding an audience. Bold and realistic, more, even stuff like infertility, homosexuality, all these topics started coming in mainstream cinema. And we've been proud to be part of one of them, which of course I would say is like this called Gangs of Wasseypur, a small film.
ठीक है हजम बच्चों का आपको एक बात करना चाहता हूँ अरे आने का तो माल है तेरी अम्मी से डर रामादेवी सिंह हमारा झाट नहीं उखाड़ पाए तो इसकी अम्मी जाए ना कढ़ाई में हमारा कलेजा डाल के उसको तल समझ गया था हम ठीक है अबू ठीक लग गया अरे हम ठीक है ठीक अरे कुछ नहीं हुआ तुम चाबी कहाँ है कहाँ में जा रही हो क्या चाबी हम क्या करना चाबी कहाँ अरे तो चाबी तुम्हारे पास तो नहीं है हमारी बेटे को 2 गोली लगी है सो देखो बेटा कहाँ अरे ये रहा ये तो खड़ा है तो ये माँ का डॉक्टर
So actually, a thing about this, we trying to promote Gangs of Wasseypur, we actually developed something called the Gali app, which you can put in a certain moment that you are in, and it will give you the correct Gali, which you have to, which you can speak for it. Also on YouTube, you can try for looking for a video which is called "Shit Wasseypur is saying," and it has got a correlation of all the Galis that Gangs of Wasseypur has. So try that. So the transformation that really happened was the hero moved to more of a macho cool. The heroine from a feeble to fabulous. The item girl, which is in this era now, the mainstream heroine is suddenly an item girl, and she does item numbers also, which is accepted, which has become almost like a must-have. From a romance, which was more of touch me not, to move into a very blatant depiction of all kinds of stuff, including premarital sex. For music, which moved from melodies to more of racy tracks, more of yo-yo, honey sings, and party all night. Now, this is something that, of course, is points to ponder, as I mentioned, that we were always wondering what is the size. So I am also quite confused at what really works for the heroine. Is it size 0 or is it, some other size which has delivered more than 500 crores at the box office? Talking about size, that's the size of the film business. So in with all the talk which happens around movies and cinema and all the passion which flows with it, you would think that it's a huge business. But to your surprise, it's actually roughly just around a 12,000 odd crore business, which is not really too large. Out of that, almost 74-75% actually comes out of theatrical revenues. All other revenues contribute to only around 25% of the movie business. So what really happens in the theater, about people going and getting admissions, buying those tickets, is really what keeps the business running and sustained. Which kind of breaks a few myths where people keep saying that, okay, digital is going to grow and it's going to be, huge and stuff, which still hasn't, completely reached there, and we are hoping it would, but a little way to go to that. Even a short thing to say that most of the films which actually contribute to this revenue is either Hindi, Tamil or Telugu, which is almost 90% of cinema which is made in India. The balance, 10% is what comes from all the regional cinema which are made, which are huge in volume, but probably not so much in terms of box office revenue. We are hoping that this trend changes, and even as a studio, we are investing heavily into regional cinema, be it Bengali, Marathi, Tamil or Telugu, which are all the regional films that we're getting into. Now, the reason why the Indian film business really is not as big as we would expect it to be is primarily the ticket price. Now, yes, we all have complained about saying how the multiplex prices are going up and all of it, but still, the average ticket price in India, if you've noticed, is around 60 to 70 rupees. If you include single screens as well as multiplex and stuff. Average ticket price in the US is $12. Okay, so it's almost like a $1.5 to a $12 ratio. So though in the US the number of movie goers are actually lesser, there's 1.4 billion in India, it's around 3.3 billion. We actually do not contribute so much to the revenues as is in the world. So India probably represents only about 2 billion, is less than 10% of the global cinema market. Okay, whereas the US is above 30%. Okay, that's a rough kind of mix. So yes, we still have a long way really to go to develop it as a business. So while there's a lot of passion to it, but the business part of it still needs to grow quite a bit. Contributions in terms of the revenue from across the world, primarily it's all in India. Okay, some of it of course comes from US, Canada, UAE. This is again another thing which plagues the industry, where the Hollywood movies have very successfully moved into other countries, and there's a huge contribution which comes in from international business. In fact, now it is more than what is the domestic business in the US. But in India, we have not really managed to get across to have international revenues coming. There's a huge amount of Indian diaspora which stays outside India. There is a lot of interest that we hear Shah Rukh Khan is big in Berlin. So KKR also will move to Berlin maybe eventually. But that still contributes to almost nothing in terms of box office revenue which comes to us. Talking a bit about movie marketing, I will probably just take you through some of the things that we have done and hopefully interesting behind the scenes stories. A few points that I want to put across is movie marketing today is almost become as critical as a brand launch. The sheer size and money which goes into it, okay, is almost similar to when you launch an everyday car brand or an FMCG brand. So it's no longer can be handled frivolously through a poster and a trailer and stuff. It needs to be far more thought through and scientific. It is also the shortest life cycle in the business. So, like if I start promoting a movie today, maybe 2 months from now the film releases, and a month from that, the story is all over. So all those dollars that we've invested, all the money that we've invested, the entire cycle finishes off in roughly about 3 months. So that's again something which is crucial. Majority of the business, in fact, 50% of the revenue of theatrical actually comes in only from the first weekend of the movie business, which puts a lot of pressure back on marketing, and hence the importance of marketing in the movie business is of course increasing, where a strong opening determines what the fate of the film will be. So the movie marketing also has obviously developed since then, from where the initial hand-printed posters, okay, very patchily put in photographs, moving into a completely integrated science where we do the whole act of informing, reminding, and persuading the target audience to go and watch the films. Three broad things that we need to think of. So every film in today's era, in this whole clutter and the whole number of films which are coming in, will need to start focusing on a unique experience. So it's no longer that you can say that my movie is going to offer you the same thing that the last one did. And a glaring example of that, especially in this year's business, to us is where movies like Himmatwala, Besharam, and including our own boss actually flops. Okay, which had A-list stars, which had everything which you had in every other movie which had succeeded earlier, which did not succeed this year. Because the audiences went and said that don't give me the same thing again and again, I'm not going to watch it, I'm not going to pay money for it. Okay, so we need to start to have that promise of a unique experience that your film is going to deliver. Hollywood has already to some extent moved to it, so be it like an Avatar which promises a certain experience, a Transformers which promises a certain experience, is all evolving to that. We need to get there. And that is where you can end up charging premiums, and hence it can give you higher returns. The word of mouth has become extremely critical, especially with social media. Okay, so while a film is good or bad is decided by the Friday evening when the first set of people have gone and seen the film, so immediately the word spreads and the future of that movie then starts depending on what people feel about it. So it's no longer just about the reviews which come in the papers, it's no longer about it's about just the marketing which is going to talk about the film, but it's also hugely about what people think about it. Now here there is, of course, what I feel is the job of marketing does not end with just getting you to the theatre, but also creating a certain amount of perception about the film and ensuring that the film delivers on that perception. So let's say in a movie like Gangs of Wasseypur, the idea was to make sure that you expected that this is going to be a bold, crass, okay, full of violence kind of film. So it was promising you that experience. And you were mentally somewhere expecting it. When you went to the theatres, it delivered on that, and hence you liked the film. So there is a certain degree of conditioning which marketing gets you, okay, before you go into the theatre. And of course, the costs need to come down, and this is where the whole idea of alliances and actually partnering with multiple, formats of entertainment to come together to really make that business work. So what we need to drive is actually create movie brands, which in the West has happened very well. So today Transformers is a brand where if I launched Transformers 4, Transformers 5, there is Mission Impossible 5. There is a ready audience which will come in, which will probably pay a premium to come and watch that film. That is what we need to move to. In India, thankfully, we are getting there with a Dhoom, like while everybody, not everybody, but some of the people might feel that it's not such a great film, but people still went ahead and saw the film, and ticket prices in Mumbai city were upwards of 900 rupees. So that's a premium that the movie commanded because of the brand name and the promise that it gave. So that is a way forward for sure, and that's what we need to build to. Digital and social, of course, leading to more earned media. Innovation for differentiation, marketing in a compressed consumer time, and winning with the ecosystem. So more of moving from broad to precise, from shallow to deep, from occasional to continuous, and from push to pull. I'll just take you through a few examples which happened to us. I mean, there was, when we got into say that we need to kind of put Kahani out to the market. Now this was a film which was actually rejected by most of the studios because they said, you can't really sell a arty heroine who plays a pregnant girl walking around on the streets of Calcutta looking for her husband. I mean, how does that kind of a concept ever work in cinema? A woman-centric film doesn't work. Okay, so it was almost rejected by everyone. Then came in that Dirty Picture coincidentally got launched before. So though Vidya Balan became a big star, but there she was known as ooh la la, the whole oomph and everything happened. And we would release this film in less than 6 months of the release of Dirty Picture. So there was of course a big question. But the normal way of going about doing would be encash on the image of Vidya Balan and say the ooh la la girl now goes pregnant. So what happened in Dirty Picture because of which Kahani happened? That was of course the first idea which came there. Let's market the film that way. Controversial film will happen. But somewhere we all felt that it was not about creating the controversy, but it was about creating the connect, with the audiences. And what would actually connect with the audience was to relate to an incident which could happen to them, or somewhere see themselves in that film. So what we felt was something that all of us react to is whenever we get a forward or a mail which says XYZ person is missing, can you help? We immediately either like it or re-forward it to say that somewhere maybe somebody would have seen it, maybe we can help this person out. So that became the genesis of the Missing campaign, where there are posters put out across Mumbai, Delhi, a couple of other cities, which just had this poster which said, Arnab Bagchi missing. Surprise, surprise, normally these posters are illegal and they are pulled off in a matter of 2 days' time by the BMC and other municipal corporations. But even they thought that this was genuinely somebody who was missing, and the posters remained for 3 weeks. So there was a lot of conversation value it generated, and imagine this was just posters. It was not a huge marketing campaign which happened around it. It was just posters which became conversation piece and created curiosity about the film, which we followed up with a Vidyabalan who, from an Ulala image, went on to completely reglam and went to every single promotion in her pregnant avatar. And the first thing that we did was we took her to a railway station in Bombay with complete chaos happening there, where she went across with a postcard with her husband's picture and asked everybody from the beggar to the railway canteen guy saying, "Have you seen my husband? Can you call me back in case you find and in case you see him?" Which became a sensation and created curiosity, which got people into the theatres. We continued it with the whole question mystery angle, which led to the success of Karan. Gangs of Wasseypur. Again, it was a film with which a lot of people. Okay. So again, a lot of people asked that how do we sell a film which is completely full of bad language and foul language and stuff. So the answer to that was how do we make that kitschy attitude into a cool attitude. So when we went to Cannes, we ensured that every single member of the cast and crew actually wore a gamcha when they went and received and were felicitated on the stage at Cannes. That picture became a viral and of course started the whole Gangs of Wasseypur attitude, which was followed up through the Gali apps, the wall painting, to multiple other stuff like the Wasseypur Patrika as well as Wasseypur bullet packs. A recent example, of course, is something that we're doing with a film called Queen, where we started with a teaser. Maybe I can show it to you later. We are just running out of time, so I'll quick through that. Where a very simple, demure Kangana Ranaut goes on and asks people to tell her how she should spend her first honeymoon. Which was followed up with the actual trailer of the film, which says that her wedding actually never happens and it breaks up. So it generated the curiosity as well as the interest in the film from day one. The film business, as we go ahead, of course, will now move on to being dominated primarily by the youth and this new urban sensibility films. Emphasis on marketing will continue to increase, where it will determine the first weekend of the movie. And of course, the release window will continue to be a challenge. I've tried to entertain you, and just in case I haven't managed, I have a short video which you can use next time, maybe even in your class. And if you feel that the class is going on for too long, I would recommend this one, which you can get. It is called I Am About. So yeah, so next time when you get Pakad, please feel free to use this song and express your emotion. That's what movies give to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, or the director, for taking time out of your schedule and being here with us. Thank you. That was all about the world of movies and entertaining it was. Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Mr. Akash Banerjee.
Hello. Dear ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Star TV, I feel very honored. I feel privileged to be a part of this hugely unique initiative taken by the XLRI campus. And actually, without much ado, I will carry on with my presentation because it's already 9 p.m. and I can already see faces and possibly can hear noises from the stomach of lots of people over there who must be feeling hungry, who must be raring to go out. It's also the week of placements, so a lot of madness must be there in the midst of the air. So, without much ado, I will start off. When I came to know about this marketing symposium seminar that's happening over here, I was debating internally what exactly should I be talking about today, being a part of Star TV, being a part of a TV company. And of course, being a part of TV company, we usually tend to hear that TV company, any media company is all about marketing and promoting content. Because it's all about content, it's all about shows, it's all about events that actually makes a channel, that actually makes what a brand is all about. And taking a cue from what Rudro and actually Joy briefly mentioned about what really KKR as a brand is all about, and whether it's the movies, and talking about that every movie has to essentially provide a unique experience. I realized, why don't I touch upon not the marketing of content, which is possibly a very, very obvious thing to talk about in this forum, but to talk about the brand itself, to talk about the destination itself, to talk about, is it important or is it enough if we promote and market specific shows, specific events, specific tournaments, or is it more important, or is it equally important to also put a lot of thrust on building a brand which is your destination, building a brand which is your channel? And are these two really interrelated? Are these two really connected with each other? And in this presentation, I will also take you through a couple of big media brands internationally, and which are truly iconic brands. And is there really a unique proposition that's there in the minds of the consumer? Media sector in this country, of course, it is in constant conversation with 1.2 billion consumers. And Star TV, for example, it reaches out to 600 million consumers, touching towns, touching consumers spread across the metros, the urban towns, the rural towns, 12,000 hours of immensely popular and entertaining content. And we end up launching over 80 shows every year, spread across 35 plus odd channels, which is spread across 7 odd languages, and which is spread across various genres. But the thrust, as I was talking about, is always only about marketing the content, marketing a new show. So if there's Satyameva Jayate, how are we planning to do a disruptive launch of Satyameva Jayate? If there's a new event, which is Champions Trophy, Hockey India League, Badminton League, how do we promote a new big tournament? How do we promote a new big event? If it's a movie that's being released, that's actually seeing the theatrical release on Star Gold, how do we promote that disruptively? And we never ever focus on the channel brand, the mother brand. And the question for a TV broadcaster like Star TV always comes down to, is good programming enough? Or is good programming only hygiene, but maybe not a very powerful differentiator. And is it important to see and to build a channel brand which can possibly be built by good programming, but it's also equally important to build the premise, to build the USP of the channel itself. And hence, the question was, should we be building channel brand or should we be building properties? But before answering that question, we delve deep into how internationally, how globally, big media brands have really built a unique proposition in the minds of the consumers. And frankly speaking, have they really managed to do so? We saw BBC, which is again a big media brand, and we realized that in the minds of the consumer, BBC, frankly speaking, is very clearly targeted towards the news seeker everywhere in the world, and the key proposition is that it is indeed the first port of call when something really important happens. If you take the case of Economist, it's very clearly positioned itself targeting the intelligent, the courageous, the globally exposed senior professional, because Economist always enhances and expands your horizon from the world, about the world, on the world. If you take the case of MTV, MTV very clearly focuses its initiatives, its promotions on targeting the young, irreverent, and a music passion. And MTV very clearly stands a channel which is talking about, which is showcasing popular culture and music. And there are several such brands. Whether you take the case of Vogue, which is pretty much a universe of dreams ignited by its expensive, fashionable, extremely well-heeled, targeting the well-heeled, stylish woman, or for that matter, even a brand like Playboy. When it started off, Playboy very clearly targeted the so-called sexy, fun-loving, adventurous, courageous man, and the position was very clearly that it provides an escapist fantasy. But today, over the years, over the decades, over multiple years now, Playboy has clearly repositioned itself as a brand that is actually like a guidebook to get the most of life, to see the special but attainable. And there are several such brands. And when we saw and delved deep into them, we realized that MTV might have specific programs, might have specific music capsules, but there was an overarching theme about the brand, about the channel. BBC might have several editorial pages, might have several specific capsules, specific shows that will keep on running on the channel, but at the start, BBC stood for something very, very unique, something very, very differentiated. Economists might have the best of the articles from the world of politics, from the world of news, from the world of commerce, economics, but at the core, Economists stood for something very, very unique. And 5 years back, when we launched the brand refresh of Star Plus, it was done, and no, before getting into the Star Plus, usually when we talk about marketing for any TV media company, we always talk about superior consumer insights, we talk about effective media planning and buying, digital, what is the brand strategy, what is the disruptive channel, what is the disruptive new launch communication that you're planning to do. It's always and every time only centered towards content and programming, and never ever there is any focus that's given on building the brand, on building the destination, on building the mother brand. And 5 years back, when Star Plus was very clearly facing some tough times, when we spoke to the consumers, and we realized that when we heard the consumers talking about Star Plus, it was extremely disparate. It was extremely varied. Few people thought Star Plus as a brand which was all about Saas Bahu serials. Few people thought Star Plus was very ostentatious. Few people thought Star Plus was all about providing the varied content. Few people thought Star Plus was providing large-scale events. Few people thought Star Plus was extremely cathartic. That was too much to absorb because the kind of emotions that they used to depict was too much for them. And we realized that though the TRP wars are actually fought on programming, is there an opportunity for us to completely redefine the GC category? is there an opportunity for us to completely change and actually not just change, come up with the positioning of Star Plus, the channel itself, the destination itself. And hence, the questions which were clearly in front of us were, is it possible to build Star Plus as a brand? What should Star Plus be positioned as to connect with the mass viewers? And what's the reason that Star Plus will draw viewers on an everyday basis? Not just attracting viewers to come and sample maybe one show or two shows or three shows, which possibly attract the viewers, but to come because of the huge affinity that drives them towards the channel itself. And we went back to the drawing board and we saw that who is this new Indian family in 2010? And we realized that though the India is changing, though the economy is changing, though the families are changing, for every single individual in India, the family remains very much at the core. The relationships are changing because of the change from joint families to nuclear families, of children moving away from their parents at an early age, people like you who come out of your home locations and start studying and start working spread across the world. But at the core, at the very core, family still remains an extremely important aspect of your life. And we said the Star Plus, since it very clearly caters to the woman, we will celebrate the family, but we'll most importantly celebrate the Indian woman. And we'll offer her an absolutely fresh perspective on relationships that will keep her family together. And we went ahead with coming up with a Star Plus relaunch. And for the first time ever, we did a brand campaign, not on a specific new show, not on a specific fiction show or a reality show or on a movie that was being shown on Star Plus, but about Star Plus itself. And we launched a completely new packaging of Star Plus, which was a ruby red star, which captures the emotions of Red Star, which is all about hot, which is all about high on emotions and high on passion. And the values that we clearly outlined for the brand was that we are going to be about hot, which is we will do things that have never been done before. We are going to be all about high quality and richness. We are going to be about powerful stories and characters, and we are going to be fulfilling every emotion, aspiration, and dream. And in effect, what it means, we are going to be providing new perspectives on relationships, deeper bonds with fresh perspectives, and thereby came the tagline of Rishta Wahi Soch Nahi. I will just play one clip.
मिला क्या? अरे माँ, शायद उधर होगा। मिला, मिला।
So, you know, we did.
And with such series of creatives, series of such campaigns around this brand Star Plus, a brand which has never ever been clearly positioned in the minds of the consumers. We spoke about women's emancipation, we spoke about women's and elderly women's education. We launched shows like Pratigya, which is all about a character who actually fights the entire society, her entire community, just to stand up for her self-respect. We launched a show like Diya Bati Aur Hum, where the story revolved around a woman who actually wanted to be an IPS officer, and hey, you know what? The man, the husband, actually ends up supporting her, and the story actually revolves around how the husband is actually trying to support, trying to encourage, so that his wife ends up being the IPS officer, which has been her childhood dream. A man who in the society, whenever he's seen supporting his wife on such things, is seen as a Joruka Gulam, right? And we simply just didn't launch the brand campaign about the destination, about Star Plus, but we also launched shows like Pratigya, like Diya Bati Aur Hum, which further reinstated the philosophy, the new USP, the new brand lens through which we wanted the consumers to come and see the channel. Even a show like Satyamev Jayate was all about nice soch, getting the character, and I won't term Amir Khan as a hero, but as a character, as an artist, somebody who comes in on Sunday mornings to awaken the entire country, who talks about big taboo issues like rape in the family, who talks about women infanticide, who talks about various diverse issues which actually we see happening all around us all the time, and yet never garnered the courage to talk about it, never garnered the courage to have any kind of a conversation around it. And we started doing that by drawing up from the nice soch, which was the new brand lens through which we were talking about Star Plus. I don't know, I hope it's
यार इतना नहीं है पब्लिक को उल्टा बोल रहे उन्होंने भी पब्लिक को गुस्सा आना चाहिए एंटरटेनमेंट का मतलब ये थोड़ी कि बस हंसाते रहो दिल पे लगनी चाहिए दिल पे लगेगी ना तो ही बात बनेगी शक्कर डाला
Airtel presents Satyamev Jayate, powered by Aquacard. जल्द ही Star Plus पर.
So entertainment मतलब ये नहीं कि सिर्फ हंसाते रहो लोगों को. It is not entertainment. Literally doesn't mean entertain. Entertainment has a lot of manifestations that the Star Plus brand now started taking seriously. I'll just play one more clip of Satyamev Jayate.
आजकल इतना chaos है इतने चैनल्स इतने टीवी चैनल्स मीडिया हम लोग एक दिन देखते हैं दूसरे दिन भूल जाते हैं आंखों से मत देखो दिल से देख कर देखो शो का नाम है दिल से देख कर देखो
Airtel presents Satyamev Jayate, powered by Aquacard. जल्द ही Star Plus पर.
So what we did was a classic case in the marketing jargon, the brand and the product. And both started speaking the same language. The brand stood for Rishta Nahi Soch Nahi, which was all about Nahi Soch, and the product within the brand started delivering on the promise. Not to say that all the products within the brand are actually now delivering on the promise constantly, 24/7, 12 months in the year, but it's a journey that we have undertaken, it's a journey that we've just started on, and we hope that the brand and the product will start speaking the language so cohesively, so seamlessly, that they won't be seen as two distinct pieces, but will be seen as very, very congruent and as singular. Moving from an entertainment channel and how we saw the entire positioning of Star Plus, moving from there to sports marketing. Sports marketing has historically always been about promoting about a certain event, promoting about a certain property, promoting about a certain tournament. So tournaments keep on moving from Star Sports to ESPN to 10 cricket, and your loyalties keep on changing. So these channels end up actually just being a placeholder for you to come and watch the content. It's never a case of, I want to watch Star Sports. I love watching Star Sports. I am passionate about the ESPN as a brand because it continues to show amazing kind of content that really enthralls me. I don't come to watch ESPN. I come to watch a Champions Trophy match on ESPN. I come to watch a World Cup match on 10 cricket or 10 sports. So the channels which were there, they were not brands. They were just mere placeholders. And we initiated a big change on that as well. I will just quickly take you through some, actually, I don't know how much time we have, so let me skip the slide, which has a lot of diverse kind of communication, whether it was about Hockey India League or was it about Women's World Cup. And each of the communication, they were extremely disparate. And they were nothing to do with the overarching theme of what really Star Sports stood for, and something which we were really wanting to change big time. And we reached out to the consumers as usual. And when we reached out to the consumers, we realized the new brand lens that we really wanted to take for the Star Sports brand was essentially emanating from one very key insight, which was we're all searching for hero moments in our lives. When we watch a Salman Khan on a movie channel or on a cinema hall doing something extraordinary, as Rudra was showing us, when Shah Rukh Khan does, gives that look to the heroine, okay, when Amitabh Bachchan says that entire dialogue in a very, very interesting manner, कि हम तो तुम्हारे बाप, हम तो शहंशाह में, हम तो तुम्हारे बाप हैं, हम तो तुम्हारे रिश्ते में हम तुम्हारे बाप लगते हैं. The way it mesmerizes the entire audiences is something truly amazing. But when we look at those guys, we tend to copy them, we tend to embody a couple of values which those characters actually signify, and we start feeling that wish if even we could have some truly hero moments in our lives. And I was talking to the students earlier in the evening. We spoke to a couple of Delhi sales managers and we asked him, so why do you love watching World Cup, or why do you love watching cricket, and why do you love watching the Dhonis and the Sachins of the world? And he said something very interesting. He said, जब मैं धोनी को देखता हूँ, जैसे वर्ल्ड कप के फाइनल में he promoted himself ahead of Yuvraj Singh, who was actually playing, like it was absolutely his tournament. He promoted himself and he played such a courageous knock and he hit that six, which was simply a big stunner. मुझे लगता है मैं भी अपने टारगेट्स पूरे कर सकता हूँ. मुझे लगता है मैं भी कुछ बहुत ही बड़ा कर सकता हूँ. अगर धोनी कर सकता है, सचिन कर सकता है, क्या एक बार, just once, can't I truly do something great, something amazing? And that amazing thing did not necessarily happen on TV. It could happen if you do something amazing in your family, in your community, in your workspace, wherever, whenever. And we said, so this is the insight. What is our belief? And our belief, hence very clearly, is greatness is not reserved for the chosen few. And we sincerely believe, and we strongly believe, that everybody can be great. Because if you believe, you can. If you believe, then nothing is truly impossible. And hence, our differentiator from a Star Sports angle was that we will bring you stories, we will depict the tournaments in a manner that will bring heroes up close and personal. You will come to know about the Dhonis, the Federers, the Messis, the Ronaldos of the world, absolutely from a personal point of view. You will come to know about the human stories, what truly made them great superstars. Their stories of perseverance, their stories of courage, their stories of strong willpower. And that's the lens that Star Sports as a brand is going to be taking forward. And hence, the proposition was of Star Sports, inspire the hero in you. And hence, Star Sports believe.
मुझे यकीन है कि सिर्फ शहर छोटे होते हैं, वहाँ के लोग और उनके ख्वाब नहीं। मुझे यकीन है आदमी का कद उसके इरादों से नापा जाता है। मुझे यकीन है नसीब की बात सिर्फ वही करते हैं जो कभी मैदान में उतरे ही नहीं। मुझे यकीन है हार और जीत के बीच का फासला पर नामुमकिन नहीं।
करो यकीन तो दुनिया Star Sports believe.
So it is indeed the story of belief of Dhoni and nothing else. It's a story of Dhoni wherein he believed कि छोटे शहरों के सपने बड़े हो सकते हैं. And people, those who say that he's a lucky captain, they have never really gone to the ground to play for the country, to play for the nation. It's not simply about destiny and luck and fortune. But fortune truly favors the brave. And this is what Dhoni truly embodies. And as we did for Star Plus, wherein once we had the entire brand lens, we started launching shows keeping in mind, keeping in sync with the overall brand architecture. Now, the intention of the Star Sports brand is to have all the new launches of the events specifically from the belief lens.
A race that started with a belief, a race that inspired millions, a race that made us strong and brought us together, a race that started a revolution.
I'm sure that this year is only going to get better.
Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon 2014, 19 January, 7 AM on Star Sports 4.
So as a part of the marathon campaign, now apart from this communication, we are going to be profiling specific people, common men and women who against all odds and obstacles have gone out and are going to be running for the Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon. Each and everybody has a unique story, has a unique belief story, which Star Sports intends to bring about through the depiction of the stories on the channel. And hence, the moment we start staying true to the overall brand promise, the product also has to start staying true to it. And that's how the brand and the product will start working in sync, will start communicating and talking about one singular thing. And hence, in summary, it's not simply about marketing the content and the specific programming and the shows within that. It's also equally important to give consumers the lens through which they need to come and see the channel, see the destination, see the mother brand. But doing that alone is not enough, because even the product and all the launches and all the new shows and all the content with that also needs to stay true to it. And this is something which, in the media industry, which we have just started doing that. These are early days, and we have got a long way to go and miles to go before we see. Thanks a ton.
Thank you, sir. Those were really insightful words. I'd now like to call upon Professor Vashni to please take on the discussion forward.
Good evening, all of you. I know a lot of insightful thoughts. So, as a regular classroom, thank you, gentlemen, for being here and sharing your thoughts with us. Let us start with a quiz session before we go on to the moderation. Is that okay? Fine. So, first question. Can you give me 3 learnings out of 3 things which you have heard now? What is important for marketing of entertainment? 3 words.
Uniqueness.
Uniqueness. Okay.
Values of the brand.
Building values of the
Values of the brand.
values of the brand. Okay. Delivering on the brand proposition. Okay. So everything is revolving around brand. Content. Are you sure? Fair. Yes. See, we have goodies from Viacom as well. Huh? So you probably will give me a right answers here. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I think I'll ask the panelists to, if each one of them can give me a 1 word as to what is very, very important for entertainment marketing, maybe as a quick fire round. I hope many of you might have heard Arnab Goswami. Now, I'll not become Arnab Goswami here, but I'll try to quickly give maybe 2 minutes to each one of them to just talk about what is important for marketing of entertainment from their perspective. Can we hear them? And then probably I'll come back to you. So, Joy sir.
I don't, for me, anything which is not rocket surgery, rocket science, or looking after yourself is entertainment. For me, clearly the proposition is, I must be emotionally invested in it. From the point of view of sports marketing, emotional investment is the single largest thing. Once I have that emotional investment today, if you go to England, you'll see that there are Fulham supporters who, they haven't qualified for 15 years. It doesn't matter. The point of it is, once I create value strong enough for you to make an emotional investment in me, then I've got you. And then after that, it's a relationship between us. You will abuse me, you will love me, you will care for me, but you will never stray away from me. And the day I build that emotional connect is the day I got you. The day I'm with you, you're my family.
Can I have 1 single word from you, sir, on this? So, creating a right value proposition. Am I correct on this?
That's also not 1 word.
Okay.
Honesty. You have to stay honest to your brand.
Okay, fair enough, sir. So, honest to brand. Okay, Rudra.
One word, if you really ask me, is going to be connect. I mean, when especially when it comes to cinema and movies, I need to connect with the story and what's happening on screen. So either it is something which I think is a representation of myself and my world, or it is something that I aspire to get to. So these 2 things are important. There, either of these needs to happen, and I need to really connect with it. So even a promise when I market films needs to be a promise of giving that connect with audiences.
Okay, thank you.
No, actually, what you mentioned. Actually, what Rudra mentioned is very apt. I think again 2 words, but it's truly the consumer connect. And for an entertainment sector, for a media sector, the consumer connect is very, very important. Unlike an FMCG product, unlike a banking product, unlike a telecom product, where the product is actually something which is tangible. In the case of entertainment sector, it's an intangible thing that we're offering to the consumer. It's an idea, it's a creative, it's an expression that manifests itself on TV, on the movie screen. And especially in the case of TV, every new episode, every new show is almost like a new product offering that's being delivered to the consumers. Unlike an FMCG where a product remains constant for years at times, there's nothing that changes except possible some small level of tweaking on the packaging or on some ingredient change. Over here, every single minute, you're giving out something very, very different and differentiated. And hence, what will drive a big consumer connect, what will really drive engagement, what will drive reach, eventually boils down to one simple thing. If you understand your consumers, then you are the king. So hence, consumer connect very clearly is in my mind the most important piece.
Okay, so we are hearing a few words here: value proposition, consumer connect, and understanding your consumer. I think that's the crux of marketing per se. But I think very well applicable to the entertainment, and I really liked Rudra's one of the very beautiful statements which he said that every movie for him is just a very short life cycle of a product. Again, I think. Can we go back to the audience, and if audience have few questions to each one of them, because I know they are esteemed panelists sitting out here who have a good amount of experience with each one of them. So anything you guys would like to ask them? Yes, sir. We're not able to see your face. Can we have this light switched off and the white lights on?
Hello, my name is Vishal. My question is to Mr. Datta. Sometimes when you're giving out a movie, some people have some false impressions or some false conditioning about their expectations of the movie. And how do you deal with that in that short period of time? Like in the case of Mandal Pandey, people came in with very different expectations than what the movie was about. So how does one deal with that?
You don't deal with it, your movie flops. That's something which I strongly feel, and I've always advocated from day one, is that marketing's job is not to change the product. It is only to accentuate the product. So what you create as a perception needs to be in line with the film. You just need to create a certain attraction for that proposition. That is what we do when we market films. So when you come and watch the film, you say, oh, this is what they told, and it delivers on that promise, and hence your word of mouth increases and you react positively to the film. As I mentioned with Gangs of Wasseypur, I mean, if I would have gone and said that, oh, it is, one more Anurag Kashyap film, it will really evoke a certain emotion in you and stuff and all, it wouldn't work. We blatantly said, it's about Dalis. Okay, it's about, being crass. So if you want to enjoy that, come and watch it, and yes, guess what people did? And it delivered on that expectation, and hence it worked.
Okay, thank you. Some more questions from your side? Yeah.
Good evening, sir. I have two questions. First is for Joy sir, and second is for Akash. Sir, since you are also associated with Indian football, and I read sometime back on the internet that the number of people following Barclays Premier League in India is greater than the entire population of Britain. But still, I mean, not from the sports perspective, but as a league, where do you, I mean, what is lacking? I mean, I don't think many of us even know where the I-League is broadcasted. So, I mean, with IPL, we have seen that money not really is that big an issue. So, I mean, do we need a new Blitzy league or modifications in the existing league?
It should have happened already, but in about 6 months, Reliance is launching a new Indian league. And a lot of what you're talking about, city-based league, professional, they're doing a lot of stuff trying to make it. Some of the top footballers in the world will come and play. But to answer your question, again, one of the reasons why the Premier League works is because day in, day out, you get to watch the best players in the world. So your brand proposition also is, if you want to watch the best football in the world, here it is. And along with that football, I'm going to give you tradition. 100 years of tradition, 80 years of tradition. So it gives you tradition, atmosphere, a well-mounted product in terms of the camera work, the technical quality, and that's what you have. Your problem today in India is, even when you go to watch the IPL, the one promise that it does deliver on is that it gives you the best cricketers in the world. They're all coming and playing here. Now the problem with Indian football is, today the quality of Indian football is not at that level. And neither are the rivalries so strong, other than a couple of states, for you to get tradition. So if you don't have tradition, you don't have quality, then it's a long time for you to start building. because then you need to build rivalries, you need to build tradition, and the football needs to be at the level where you're going to come and say that, okay, I want to watch this. Having said that, really bold steps have been taken. Reliance has invested heavily in it, so has Star. So one can always hope.
Can I just add on to it? When we speak to the consumers, and after lots and lots of discussions with consumers across the country, we actually boil down, the entire reason for consumers to watch sports to two things. They watch sports, A, to watch heroes, and specifically my heroes, and I will explain that point later. And second is superlative performances. IPL became such a big hit when suddenly people started realizing, when people started reading in the newspapers, that somebody in 20 overs, a team has scored 200 plus runs in 20 overs. Somebody has managed to hit 5 sixes continuously for 3 overs. These kind of amazing stories, these kind of superlative performances actually acts as a huge invite for the viewers to come and sample. Let me find out. And the first big reason is to come and root for my hero. And that's one big reason as to why, and we actually air Barclays Premier League on our channels, but Barclays Premier League only delivers on superlative performances, as Joy rightly mentioned. It doesn't cater to the first point, which is my hero. Beyond a point, अगर बार्सिलोना हार गया, लिवरपूल हार गया, क्या दिल पे लगती है? To some people it might, but to a vast majority it doesn't. But when India loses, my team, my nation, my Sachin Tendulkar, my Dhoni, when they lose to Pakistan, when they lose to Sri Lanka, it hurts. It affects me emotionally. Okay. Why was there such a huge frenzy on Sachin's retirement? My hero, who I have been seeing, who I have been idolizing, who I have been watching for the last 2 decades, is now gone. My hero. And that aspect is very, very important. And with the launch of Indian Super League, which is actually the IMG, Reliance and Star TV, we are trying to initiate a new sporting culture. We are trying to initiate a new football culture in the country, where Indians as well as international stars will come under the same platform, will come under the same umbrella, will actually come and perform. So we will have good quality performance. We are not going to be claiming that it's going to be excellent level of performance, because you already have Barclays Premier League and La Liga and the seniors of the world. But you'll also have this additional ingredient, which is my hero playing on our side.
Okay.
So one more.
Yeah.
So that question is that for all of us, at least who are exposed to American or British television, we see that large gulf in terms of innovation and even content when it comes to our shows and this. Maybe it's specific to a section of the population in India like us. But how do you we see our movies have evolved as and when the access to Hollywood increase and you just realize that people are now comparing our movies with theirs. So how do you make sure that Indian television is remains relevant to particularly the youth who now constantly benchmark it against the best in the world? I'm specifically talking about the television shows.
Look, I come back to the first point which I mentioned, which was about consumer connect. And when you talk about consumer connect, it's all about reaching out to the consumers and finding out what they really want to see. Okay. Now, if you ask me, if you tell me that one channel should necessarily be catering to every kind of TG, all kind, across all stratas of society, possibly that's not going to happen. So, if you're talking about urban metro 18 to 24, who's possibly born and brought up watching Friends and all Friends and the Santa Barbaras and the Golden Beautiful of the world. Okay, we have those kind of shows which are possibly running on Star World Premier HD, wherein we are airing the content simulcast to the ones that's being shown on in America, sorry. And we also have a lot of we have new and interesting channels like Life OK, and also couple of shows like Star Plus. Now I will say that I will not agree to your point that a show like Satyamev Jayate does not cater to the youth. In fact, in our mind, a show like Satyamev Jayate most importantly caters to the youth because they are the ones who are actually going to be the drivers of change, who are actually going to be the agents of change, and hence it's all the more important, all the more imperative that we have shows like these on Star Plus, few shows like that on Live OK, maybe on Star Jalsha. Star Jalsha has some really iconic shows that caters very clearly to the youth segment, that caters to the so-called SECA++ segment, and also to the mass audiences. So you will have few shows that caters to different segments and few other shows that will cater to the rest. But eventually it all boils down to understanding what really consumers are really asking for. But yes, there is a long way to go. Media sector in India is a relatively nascent sector. It is few decades old, in fact just 2 decades old. Everything started and actually only post the liberalization, unlike and so we still have got a long way to go before we catch up in terms of delivering the high quality content delivered in the best kind of product, with the best kind of production quality. And that's one area definitely there's a huge scope for improvement. But in terms of understanding consumers, I think we have really gone a long way.
Okay, thank you. I think I'll have one question for Mr. Bhattacharya specifically because what happened, Akash was essentially talking about branding the channel. You were talking about branding the property. Like essentially, you're talking about branding the IPL team and something. So what is more important, a property per se, the content per se, or the channel per se? Because
so let me, in one sense, I think there's a very clear analogy between what he's saying and mine, and they're not really disparate parts. Okay. So quickly to explain to you, if I was to say that I'm branding a property, for me a property is Gautam Gambhir. He's a property. A property is a coach. Okay. So to take a film analogy, okay, what am I actually, when I say Kolkata Knight Riders, in film terms, let me try and explain what that is to you. So my current hero may be Gautam Gambhir. He might have been Saurav Ganguly a few years back, and 5 years later he may be somebody else. Okay. My current director was Trevor Bayliss now. He was John Buchanan before. He'll be somebody else later. Okay. The only thing that really survives is that if he plays for the Kolkata Knight Riders, we expect him to play in a certain way, in a certain quality. So whether it was Ron Atkinson who was a coach of Manchester United and then became Ferguson, United must live beyond Ferguson. United has lived beyond Cantona, will live beyond Rooney, and it goes on. So in some ways, just as the mother brand in his case is Star Plus, the mother brand in my case is Kolkata Knight Riders. The sub brands are actually the Gautam Gambhirs of the world, the coaches of the world. The mother brand is actually what I'm creating, the promise I'm creating is a promise saying I'm Kolkata Knight Riders, I'm willing to spill blood for my fans. That's my central premise. And that's what we are dependent on.
And that actually, he's absolutely right in saying so. If KKR's promise is about, as he mentioned, that they will give their heart, toil and sweat in terms of delivering the best performance, then every player, the coach, the manager, everything should be only centered around that. And the delivery has to be congruent, delivery has to be simple.
Okay, gentlemen, for this discussion, can I bring in Rudro back? Because I know I've been discussing with Rudro that should we brand Viacom Motion Pictures or should we brand Gang of Wasseypur 1, 2, 3, 4? Or is every movie a brand by itself and it dies its own thing? So again, what is your opinion, Rudro, about this?
Well, I'll be honest, and we discussed that before, it's far more difficult in the movie business to really have a studio branding. It takes a lot of time to do that because a movie studio is known by the kind of films it does over the years. So for us, it becomes important that we represent this, let's say, the new wave of cinema. So when we consistently do films like Kahani, Gangs of Wasseypur, follow it with a special Chhabbis, with a Bhaag Milka Bhaag, with a Madras Cafe, now we are building a certain brand. So maybe in another, let's say, 2 years' time, when we keep on doing that, The moment I say it's a film for Viacom, you know it stands for differential content. That is the only way that we can actually build a brand. It's not too much to say that can we have like a branding exercise around it which can happen. So our products will end up speaking for what brand the studio is.
Thank you. I know a lot of people would have a question here. Let me put it from your side to the panel here. What is the scope for employment for in this sector?
Good fast bowlers, first class cricketers, left armers preferable. If you can bowl at about 140 plus, that would be fantastic. Good legging, you're on. Okay, talk to me just after.
That seems no scope for managers, huh?
Well, okay, my sense honestly apart from the jokes is that yes, there's a huge scope because this is an industry which is really now evolving. Okay, it is in that stage where a more structured approach to let's say cinema, to filmmaking, to marketing, all of it is coming together. So probably just the right time where you need a lot of fresh talent, a lot of young minds to really come in and drive that change. The scope is immense, and yes, if you know a bit of acting, it always helps.
Yeah, on a more serious note, ours is even a more sunrise industry. Sports is really a hugely sunrise industry. And one of the big challenges is it's a completely unorganized industry. And therefore, what's happening is today we are in this mishmash where some people are saying that only sportsmen can be good managers of sporting these things. Other people are saying that's absolute rubbish. It shouldn't be. But the problem with this is that it's a disorganized sector. So there's huge and immense opportunity. But there's no clear path saying that, okay, if you do this, then that happens next. So my advice to anyone who's in this business is, A, apply, you could get lucky. B, stay connected to sport. And there are many ways to stay connected to sport, through sponsorship, through other activities. And sooner or later, the opportunities will start opening out. And it will become, over time, a more organized industry. There's no doubt at all that sports is going to be one of the industries that's going to drive growth in the next decade.
I'll not ask this question to Akash because Akash is here for hiring anyway. So, okay. Yes, some more questions from your side, please.
Hi, I had a question for Rudra sir. My question is that we've been hearing cases about negative publicity, since the past 1 or 2 years and even more than that. What are your takes on that? Is it something we really planned, or does it happen by chance?
You're really asking me to say the truth. Okay, I'll be honest at this forum to say that yes, sometimes we do use it, and we do use it specifically to generate a certain amount of interest. But yeah, it should be done with a very clear sense of why you want to do it. So if it is just about saying a hero and a heroine are having an affair, it's like been there, done that. It's very cliche. So even a negative publicity needs to be engineered in the right way. And let me also confess, when I felt like, let's say, Madras Cafe. Okay, did we not know that it's going to get into a controversy and there will be, let's say, protests on the streets about it? Of course we did.
So nothing goes outside the room now?
So we did know about it. It was not unexpected. Did we try to stop it? No, we did not. So again, it's about with what intention. Are you trying to fill something which is completely created and very gossipy for the sake of it, or you're actually using it as a tool? That's where the difference lies.
I know Mr. Bhattacharya would also like to speak about negative publicity part because I think you had a share. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Yeah. I think we'll have this last 2 questions probably because we're touching 10. So I hope you guys. I'm sure you guys are hungry.
Sir, my name is Shankar. Sir, you mentioned that the price of a movie ticket in India is $1, while that in outside it's around $12. And you also said that we are not able to sell Bollywood movies outside much. But when I try to think the reason behind this is, of course, Bollywood doesn't make movies like Avatar. So why would you say that? What would be the reason behind it? Are the Indian filmmakers afraid to take risks? Or about after 10 years, 15 years, when a movie like Avatar or Transformers would come from Bollywood?
See, the main issue right now which we suffer in terms of making big budget films is that the returns are limited. What actually is required right now is to increase the penetration of exhibition in India. The maximum number of tickets actually sold for a single film was for Gadar Ek Prem Katha, which was 4 crores in a population of 120 crores. Mind you, 4 crores is a duplicated number, as in people who went in twice or thrice to see it. So, which is the biggest issue is that when I make a film which cost me, $100 million, how do I actually get about recovering it? So it's a chicken and egg story which is going to keep on happening. The good thing is there is now, with the studio culture coming in, there is big money and there is the risk which is now coming in. So 150 crores to make a film, that risk has been taken. So it's a slow process, but we will get there.
Okay, thank you, Rudra. Yeah.
My question to Joy sir. Sir, you said you revamped KKR as a brand in 2011. But I remember having read even back in 2008 that KKR was the only team to have profited in the first IPL edition. So my question is basically that since it was cricket and IPL itself was a big brand, what you have done with KKR, it is actually the biggest IPL brand. But so what you have done with KKR, is it really possible to do that with say a regional hockey team? Like, would that be a fantasy or is it possible?
Okay, it's to be honest, it is difficult because see, first and foremost, when you look at say KKR being profitable in the first 3 years, even though we had shit performances, it's not because of KKR. It's because people were buying KKR as a surrogate Shahrukh brand. So they're saying, okay, instead of having to pay 5 crores for Shahrukh, let me pay 8 crores and get Shahrukh plus KKR. Okay, so that's why it's happening. If I say that that's because KKR was a fantastic brand, it wasn't. What actually has made KKR as a brand or work in Calcutta is the fact that we fell so flat on our face. We had to go and reinvent ourselves. We were hated, reviled, made fun of, and then we picked ourselves up and we managed to make something of our lives. So what's happened after that is the emotional journey that has created a connect which is now much longer. Because at the end of the day, Shahrukh being the owner of the brand can drive a team only so long. Shahrukh is going to be 60 years old in 12 years' time. Okay, Gautam Gambhir is going to be 42 years old, so obviously they cannot drive the brand. But if they can create something and a set of values that stands and will keep standing for what KKR stands for, then I think we have a chance.
Okay, guys, one more last question. Anybody?
Sir, it is about KKR. Basically, when you say that the players are sub-brand, like Saurav Ganguly and all those people, when you drop the sub-brand from your team, it will affect emotionally. Like in sense, at last, the Kolkata players, people who are going to watch the match in the ground. So how do you manage to bring those people after dropping the sub-brand as Saurav Ganguly?
No, it was a terrible and horrible journey. I mean, it was a really difficult journey. But you could only do it if you said that in the next 10 years for me to make this brand the brand I want to do, I need to do this today. I need to do this and make an example of it and do the best I can with it. And if for a while, therefore, my brand is not as successful as it is, or it doesn't sell as it is, or it doesn't do as well as it is, I have to bite the bullet. See, the biggest problem of what happens, and I think all of you here are from an MBA, is quarterly, say, pressures on profit, for example, is such a difficult thing for CEOs because it's so difficult for them to say that, boss, I'm trying to build something over 5 years, but you're asking me my share prices are going up, on every quarter performance you're judging me. So we had the luxury of Shahrukh being able to own it and saying, it doesn't matter if you don't do a damn thing for the next 5 years. As long as we build a team who will fight for Calcutta and do their very best, no matter what happens. We were lucky enough that in 2 years it came to some sort of fruition, that we got some sort of this thing out of it, and that is a combination of good, we played well, we were lucky, circumstances favored at a whole lot of things. But the truth of it is, we could do it only because if Shahrukh had said, okay, next year you need to perform and next year you need to get to this thing, we'd be in the same trap. So I think one great thing about it is that we had a situation where we said we had the patience and the willingness to try and be honest to what we did. And that I think was really nice of him.
Fine. Thank you, gentlemen. At the last part of it, I would request each one of you if you can just speak about very quickly in terms of what entertainment marketing is all about. Very quickly to each one of you, starting with Mr. Bhattacharya.
I can only say first and foremost from where I come from a very product-based background. It's about creating a product that people aspire to be, a product that people want to have as a part of their life. If you cannot make that product, and a product that is inherently honest to what it promises, that doesn't mean you'll win every year. See, the proposition can never be that I'll win every year. But I can make a proposition saying I will try and make sure that everyone who plays for KKR leaves his ego outside the dressing room and walks in. I may fail 1 or 2 times. But if that is the fundamental proposition that I give and say that, look, my team will go and fight out, it may not win every time. And that's a promise that even the United does. When the United goes out on the field and you see the Red Devils out on the field, why do people feel that way? Because they say that, okay, these guys are going to go out and play their best for me. And that's what it stands for. So for me, it's all about creating a product and a promise and staying true to that promise. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I think entertainment marketing is actually just about entertainment. Unlike in a regular product where my communication is done with a specific intention to sell a product, in this business, every single bit that I do, every single communication is ultimately a piece of entertainment. And making sure that that happens every time is what actually drives, marketing in this business forward.
Thank you.
Akash. Actually, for me, marketing in entertainment is really not very different from marketing in an FMCG or bank or any other sector. The basic tenets of marketing always will remain the same regardless of the sector, regardless of the industry, which starts first and foremost from consumers and understanding what the consumers want. The only big variability that happens in entertainment, be it TV, be it movies, be it a franchisee like KKR, is that the product changes big time and it keeps on changing rapidly. And hence, the marketing needs to be geared up to be able to cater to those changes, to be able to communicate with the consumers about those changes, and to ensure that the product stays true to the overall promise as has been delivered by the overall brand. And that's about it. But otherwise, there is no rocket science, there is no big differentiation marketing across industries or across sectors.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think it was a nice short discussion we had around what entertainment marketing is all about and what do you really need around entertainment marketing. I know it has been tough for all of them to be here traveling all the way from Bombay or Delhi. And I know with the fog situation in Delhi, how many flights got cancelled. I know Mr. Bhattacharya's flight got cancelled yesterday, and still he is here. I am really, really thankful to all of them. In particular, being as a marketing faculty standing out here, I would really like to thank each one of you personally and on behalf of MAXI to be a part of this. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. As a part of this MAXI Mindscape has always been a forum for doing deliberations on the new topics we want to take up every now and then. And this year we are also trying to use it as a platform to launch MAXI Fair. So I'll just like to brief all of you what MAXI Fair is all about. This is one Mela kind of a situation where we do a lot of research for a lot of companies. Wherein a company gives us a problem. Suppose a company wants to test market a new product, so they do give us that product. We try to design a disguised research. There are some 2,000, 3,000 people who come to this fair every year, and in a disguised platform, these people come. We carry out the research. The report is created. The data is collected. The report is created, and we submit it back to the company every year. This was the first concept which we started a year back ago in 1982. Actually, it was not 1989, it was 1982. And it has been almost so many years that we have been doing this concept time and again. I'm sorry, Professor Sareen has just left. He was the one who basically pioneered the concept. He's a faculty out here in XLRI since 1973 out here. And so he pioneered this concept, and now this concept is being aimed by almost all these schools in India, be it I am Ahmedabad or I am Lucknow or any institute we talk about. Everybody does this kind of a disguised research. But yes, we were the pioneers, we started with it, and we're proud of it. This year we are launching the 35th edition of Maxi Fair. It is going to be on 17th and 18th of Saturday Sunday. It is basically a two-day fair. We would like to use this forum to launch the brochure for that Maxi Fair. So I will request you gentlemen to release the brochure. Can I have the Maxi team out here at least? Come on, guys. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you very much. May I now request Rahul to quickly come and give a vote of thanks.
So it's finally time to close this really eventful evening. There's a whole host of people who actually brought this together. I'm going to thank them in no particular order. First off, our speakers, Mr. Banerjee, Mr. Bhattacharya, Mr. Datta, thank you so much for coming down here. Jamshedpur is a hard place to travel to here. Thanks for being here. I'd also like to thank our director, Father Abraham, for his wholehearted support and for making this happen, for supporting us from all ends, answering any queries and covering everything. Our Dean of Academic Affairs, Professor Pranabesh Ray, our Dean of Administrative Affairs, Father S. George, our Dean of Student Affairs, Father James Santhanam, and of course our Chairperson for Marketing, Professor Vashne, for helping us with the smallest of details, for connecting us to the right people, for being with us all through. He was here while we were preparing the entire setup in the evening as well, for moderating the discussion. Thank you so much, sir. And for, of course, mentoring Maxi also here. He's also our student coordinator. I'd also like to thank the audience here for making this evening so special, for giving us a packed hall. We have some online audience as well because we're sort of streaming online live. So thank you guys for watching us from wherever you are. The XLRI students and faculty, of course, without which we would not be able to do anything. So, I mean, that sort of ends this for today. We really hope we'll be back next year with an innovative theme again, something new, something captivating, and something that would get you back here next year, at least for the juniors. Good evening to you all, and thanks for all the fish.
I'd like to thank all our panelists out here. Can I request our team to just present a small memento to them? I know it has been really tough for them to be here. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you guys. Hope we'll meet again. I know this batch will pass up, the new batch will come in. We look forward to see you all. All those guys who ask questions, I know it's really courageous to ask questions. So you deserve an award from Viacom's. Guys, you can collect your gifts from us. Right? Thank you very much. Okay, the refreshments are lying outside. Thank you very much.
Huh? हम पैक